What is up everyone? With the figure industry so vast and plenty, and if you're looking at buying your first figure, we will be getting you ready to evaluate. The question for today is, what do we look out for in a figure? And we'll be starting from the most important factors you can check out from this video anytime. We have an Aerith figure with us from the Static Arts line by Square Enix, and we'll be using her as a comparison. And before we get into listing the factors, we would like to establish a single most important rule. Promotional pictures are not an indication of how good the figure is. The actual product will always differ. Also, 1/7 is the scale to go with anime scale figures. And without further ado, number 1, the paint job. If the paint job is bad, it will be really difficult to grow an emotional attachment to your figure. So the most important factor here is having an accurate representation of the actual material. For example, the Play Out Sky Tifa first print had an obnoxiously glossy face sculpt. And also on this Aerith, we do have a glossy hair piece. Now, whose hair is glossy? And if you're new to buying figures, paint can achieve many different types of finishes: glossy, matte, shiny, metallic, and so on. So you should expect metal looking parts for objects that look metal. Also, shading plays an important part of paint job. Shading refers to artificially coloring a figure so that it looks like it is affected by light. I think a very slight shading is necessary. However, on Aerith's dress, this is considered overshading to me. Next, the head sculpt. Sculpt refers to how the material is constructed under the knife by the sculptor. This is fundamentally the most important feature for me. Let's take a look at the Tifa Play Out Sky again. The promotional pictures look very much like her in game, but in hand the product looks nothing more like your in real life friend that you hang out with every day during lunchtime. The Aerith here has a really good head sculpt, but unfortunately the paint job didn't do it justice. But since it definitely looks like Aerith, I am gonna give this a score of 7. Next, details. Details can make your figure look like $20 or $200. On the Aerith Static Arts, we have the flower patterns on the chest, the gold buttons on her clothes, the metallic necklace around her neck, and not forgetting the flowers on her hair. But we also note that where there should be a big ribbon, we are getting a, what should I call it, Aerith carrying a pillow behind her back. Do I think spell casting can be tiring? I'm gonna give this figure a 8 for details. Next, proportions. We're talking about the size of each body part, but a great example here is Tanito's quintessential twin tuplets line of figures. The promotional pictures showed great paint job and head sculpt, but the head is just too huge and doesn't represent the quintuplets good enough. At least on Aerith, the proportions are really perfect, and I will give a 10 for Aerith. Next up, relevance to content. I absolutely love how characters here have the same costume as they have in the game. Fortunately, almost all figures out there are relevant to the content, and Aerith here is definitely a 10 out of 10. But apart from being relevant to content, we like variants too, and I think some things we will go for are the freeing bunnies and figures in their maid or swimsuit variants. Well, if this is my first figure, I will definitely get one that is relevant to the content. Next up, diorama. For some of us, this is a big deal breaker. Personally, I love my figures without a diorama or one that is minimal. This is definitely for shelf space. I would say everyone has their preference, and sometimes having a great diorama can increase the immersivity of a figure. For example, the latest figure from Naruto Girls DX, the Sakura, has a really nice diorama that brings out her character. However, based on my personal preference, I think the latest pre-order for Sasuke, the Jam series, is a little over the top. Do think about the aesthetics in your house. You want your figure to look good, but you want your home to look good too. So these are the points I think will help you purchase your first figure. I think they're sufficient for now, but of course there are other factors to consider like cost, material, cast off or not, skill, poses, interchangeable parts, and more. I'd say do not follow the guide, but go with your heart. If you have a differing view, you are most probably correct because beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. My final word of advice: do not bust your wallets for something you're not sure of. Because the longer you wait, there will be new releases that will be even better. Otherwise, you can always turn to the second-hand market to chase figures you have missed. Or the latest trend is some figures have their own re-release, so you can watch out for that. So that's the end of my video. If you like the content, do consider subscribing so you'll be notified of new videos that appear on my channel. They do mean a ton to me and I thank you sincerely. Till next time, peace out.